Hello, friends. Welcome to the September 2025 Shepard-Smith Compliance Consulting Deep Dive Podcast. We are your super awesome, amazing hosts, Frank and Wendy. Wow, September already. Can you believe it? The summer just flew by. Now it's back to the academic grind, right? New faculty orientations, welcome sessions, and right on cue, there's a really big, timely update coming for anyone handling Public Health Service or PHS awards.
That's absolutely right. Today, we're really going to dig into some, monumental updates to research misconduct policies. We're talking about 42 CFR Part 93. There's a brand new final rule, and it officially takes effect January 1, 2026. And look, this isn't just bureaucratic shuffling. These changes are really designed to significantly boost research integrity. They aim to streamline processes, provide clearer guidance for institutions like yours. It's, frankly, a crucial step, safeguarding research public trust. It's all in there.
Exactly. And whether you've been deep in these regs for years, or maybe you're newer to this whole area, our goal today is simple. Break down these changes, point out what's most critical for you, for your institution. We want to make sure you feel equipped, ready to navigate this without getting overwhelmed. Think of this as your shortcut, your essential guide to understanding these important new rules. Okay, so let's kick things off with the big picture and the main player here. The Office of Research Integrity, ORI. If you manage PHS awards, you definitely know ORI. It's the key oversight body for research integrity, sits within the Department of Health and Human Services. DHHS, sort of the ultimate authority on the integrity of PHS-funded work.
Precisely. ORI's core mission really is overseeing and directing all PHS research integrity activities. This is on behalf of the Secretary of HHS. And that covers the big agencies you work with, NIH, CDC, FDA, many others under the PHS umbrella. The whole purpose of 42 CFR Part 93, both the old version and this new one, it's quite clear. It's about protecting public health and safety, promoting the integrity of PHS research, the whole research process really, and importantly, conserving public funds. And remember, this applies broadly. We're talking every institution applying for or receiving PHS support, biomedical, behavioral research, training related activities. It even applies if an application didn't ultimately get funded. That's key. But it doesn't replace separate rules on things like financial issues or human and animal subject rules, criminal stuff, or federal personnel actions. Those are handled elsewhere.
Okay, that really clarifies the scope. Thanks. And just a reminder, if you're looking for more guidance on ORI, responsible conduct of research, anything like that, we at SSCC are always here to help out. And ORI itself has great resources. Their website, newsletters, case summaries are really useful. All right, let's talk dates. This is critical. Mark your calendars, highlight it, whatever you need to do. The new final rule for 42 CFR Part 93 officially goes into effect January 1st, 2026. That's really just around the corner.
Yes, and that date comes with a really crucial detail for institutions. Pay close attention here. Any allegation of research misconduct that your institution receives on or before December 31st, 2025, that allegation must be handled under the old 2005 regulations. Now, there's a small exception. If both parties, the complainant and the respondent, agree in writing, they can choose to use the new final rule for those older cases. But the default is the old rule for anything received by year-end 2025. This means, practically speaking, your institution might be juggling two sets of rules for a while. That needs careful management.
Right? Two sets of rules. That sounds like a potential headache. And think about that January 1st date. It's right after the holidays, right? Campuses might be closed, staff levels low. So we at Shepard-Smith Compliance Consulting, we have a practical tip, a strong recommendation, really. Aim to get your updated research misconduct policies finalized, approved, and publicly posted online no later than December 1st, 2025. That gives you a buffer. Avoids that last-minute holiday scramble. And remember, SSCC can definitely help with that. We offer fast-track solutions to get your updated policies online, fully compliant by that January 1 deadline. It's so important your policies clearly name those key people. Your certifying official, your research integrity officer, the RIO, and your institutional deciding official, the IDO. Okay, so we have the dates locked down. Let's peel back the layers now. Let's get into the specifics of what's actually changing in the regulations. This is where the real shifts are happening.
Absolutely. And what's really interesting right off the bat is the focus on clarity and separating duties. Let's look at definitions. The old deciding official, or DO, that role is now formally called the institutional deciding official, the IDO. But here's the critical part. The new rule explicitly says the IDO cannot also be the Research Integrity Officer, the RIO. It's not just a name tweak. It mandates a separation of duties, different people overseeing the investigation versus making the final call. It strengthens those internal checks and balances. And here's probably the biggest aha moment for a lot of folks, the definition of plagiarism. The 2024 final rule spells it out very clearly. Plagiarism under Part 93 does not include self-plagiarism. It also does not include authorship or credit disputes, even those among former collaborators. This is major clarification. These types of issues, while sometimes contentious, are now explicitly excluded from the definition of research misconduct under this regulation. That should free up institutions from getting bogged down in disputes that don't meet the federal misconduct definition.
Wow. Okay, that is huge. Self-plagiarism and authorship disputes out. I can just imagine the collective sigh of relief from RIOs everywhere. That's going to save so much time and focus resources on, well, actual misconduct. That's a really welcome change.
It really is. Another potentially welcome change, providing a bit more, let's say, breathing room, relates to time limits. For the inquiry phase, the time to complete it expands from 60 calendar days up to 90 days. And similarly, for the investigation phase, that timeline extends from 120 days out to 180 days. This isn't just padding the schedule. It acknowledges how complex and time-consuming these reviews can actually be in the real world. For your institution, this means a bit less pressure to rush, hopefully leading to more thorough, more robust, and defensible processes. It really strengthens the integrity of the findings. Okay, moving on to interviews and evidence handling. There are some definitely enhanced procedures here, focusing on fairness. The old rule, it said interviews could be recorded or transcribed. The new final rule, it mandates that all interviews during an investigation must be recorded and transcribed, both. And those transcripts. They must be given to the interviewee so they can review and correct them. Here's another significant procedural change. The respondent, the person accused. They cannot be present when witnesses are interviewed during the investigation. But they must receive a transcript of those witness interviews afterwards. This aims for fairness, ensuring unbiased testimony while still respecting due process. Also, for the inquiry phase, the new rule explicitly says institutions may interview people, witnesses, respondents to get more info. That was only implied before. And on record retention, it's still 7 years. Like the old rule, but the new rule clarifies this includes all sequestered evidence, including physical objects, even if those objects aren't formally part of the institutional record submitted to ORI. That's a key operational detail. You need to make sure your evidence management protocols cover physical items properly.
Got it. That detail about physical objects is really important for updating protocols. Good catch. And those interview rules, yeah, they definitely sound like they enhance fairness. Giving access, but in a structured way. Makes sense.
Right. The theme is definitely robust, transparent processes. Now, let's broaden out a bit to other procedural clarifications and transparency points. Take the inquiry report specifically. When you decide to proceed to an investigation and have to report that decision to ORI, the amount of information required in that report to ORI, it's significantly expanded. We're talking things like the inquiry committee makeup, a detailed inventory of all sequestered records, any interview transcripts from the inquiry, results of scientific analyses. It's a lot more detailed. This isn't just extra paperwork. ORI is clearly signaling they want much more transparency and meticulous documentation right from the start of the formal process. Institutions really need to build these expanded reporting needs right into their inquiry procedures now. What about cases with multiple respondents or multiple institutions? Those can get complicated. The final rule gives much clearer guidance. Multiple respondents. You need separate reports, separate determinations, though you can use the same investigation committee. Multiple institutions involved. It clarifies how to designate a lead institution, how to get records and testimony from the others. It should help streamline those complex cases. The required content for the final investigation report is also much more detailed now. It needs specific identification of which research records are affected, details on any scientific or forensic analyses performed. Again, more rigor needed in your internal documentation. And institutional appeals. There's more specific detail now on the timing when you notify ORI, when you send the complete appeal record. But here's a really big one for transparency. Settlement agreements. Under the new rule, these agreements are now considered publicly available. And this is key. Regardless of whether a finding of research misconduct was actually made, this is a major shift. Agreements that might have stayed private before could now be public. It also means if a respondent signs a settlement, they waive their right to later contest ORI findings, any HHS administrative actions, or even ORI's jurisdiction in the matter. It really ups the ante on public accountability.
Wow. Public settlements even without a finding. That is a huge move towards more transparency. Definitely changes how institutions and respondents might think about settlements, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. Now, a slightly more subtle but still important shift involves debarment and suspension. The old 2005 rule listed these under the administrative actions within Part 93 itself. The new rule clarifies that suspension and debarment are actually pursued under separate HHS regulations, specifically to CFR 180 and 48 CFR 9, subpart 9.4. It just clarifies the regulatory pathway. ORI and the HHS suspension and debarment official will still coordinate naturally to ensure enforcement is seamless. And finally, regarding the notification of final HHS action, ORI may publish notice of research misconduct findings, and they may notify the respondent's current employer if that employer is an institution subject to Part 93. So the visibility and potential impact of findings are definitely increased. Oh, and one totally new thing. The Certificate of Research Integrity, or CRI, this is a new requirement. It'll be issued after ORI approves your institution's annual reporting, starting with the report due April 30, 2026, adds another piece to the annual compliance cycle.
Okay, wow. Lots of changes there, from definitions to procedures to transparency. So the big question for everyone listening, what does this all mean for you, for your institution? Well, clearly it means it's really time, like right now, to pull out those policies and procedures. You need to review them, update them, make sure they align perfectly with all these new requirements. Don't wait.
Exactly. And that actually leads us nicely into some related hot topics and practicalities. For instance, artificial intelligence, AI. It's everywhere in research discussions now. While the new Part 93 rule doesn't specifically add AI guidelines, you need to be aware of related policies. NIH just put out guidance that was not OD 25132 back in July 2025. Under this NIH policy, they stated they will not consider applications substantially developed by AI as meeting the requirement for original ideas from the applicants. And importantly, if AI use that violates their terms is detected after an award is made, NIH might refer it to ORI for a misconduct review and take their own enforcement actions, disallowing costs, withholding funds, even suspension or termination. So AI use needs careful attention. Also, another recent NIH update to be aware of, a new limit. Generally, only 6 new renewal, resubmission, or revision applications per PI program director per calendar year. There are exceptions, like for T-codes and R13s, but it's meant to manage review load and steward funds.
Good points. AI is definitely a space to watch closely, and that application limit is a practical one for PIs. Okay, shifting gears slightly, but still practical. The ORI portal for annual reporting on research misconduct activities. We sometimes compare ORI annual reporting to tax season. Both are due in April, and you definitely don't want to wait until the last minute. You'd probably start gathering info after the new year, right?
That's a good analogy. Absolutely not something to rush. So to get you thinking ahead for that April 2026 deadline and beyond, here are some key questions to ask now. Have you, or has the right person at your institution, created an ORI portal username and password? Have you gotten emails from ORI about the portal? Is your updated research misconduct policy publicly posted online and ready to be uploaded when needed? Has your RIO told you the final count of inquiries and investigations for the reporting year? Getting these ducks in a row early will save a lot of stress come spring.
Definitely good prep questions. And of course, just a reminder that SSCC is here to help with all of this. We can assist with navigating the ORI portal reporting, provide training on research ethics, integrity, the whole package. All right, let's lighten things up for a moment. Time for our Mark Your Calendar segment. September is quite a month. It's recognized as National Suicide Prevention Month and also World Alzheimer's Month, both incredibly important for awareness and support.
Very important causes. And on the compliance front, VTS 422 reports are due sometime this month for federal contractors. Also, just a heads up, SSCC is out of the office for Labor Day, which was September 1st. Hope everyone had a good long weekend.
Ah, yes, Labor Day. And how about this? September 10th is the 365th birthday of the English composer Henry Purcell.
Oh, Baroque music. Maybe some nice background tunes while reviewing those dense regulations.
Why not? And speaking of treats after dense regulations, September 12th, National Chocolate Milkshake Day.
Now you're talking. That sounds like a perfect reward for compliance efforts.
Definitely. Then we have National Celiac Disease Awareness Day on the 13th. The 15th marks the first day of Hispanic Heritage Month. Important recognition there.
Absolutely. And for music lovers again, September 17th is International Country Music Day.
Maybe trade the Baroque for some country while finalizing those policies. And then September 18th, National Cheeseburger Day.
Milkshakes, cheeseburgers. September's looking pretty good for compliance fuel.
Right. But alas, September 20th is the last official day of summer. Sad trombone.
Oh, don't remind me.
Yeah.
And another composer birthday, September 25th, is Jean-Philippe Rameau, French Baroque this time. He'd be 341.
More compliance concentration music. And finally, the one we can all relate to, September 29th is National Coffee Day.
Wait, isn't every day National Coffee Day in this field?
You're probably right about that. Good point. And one last important note for your calendars. SSCC will be out of the office on September 22nd and September 29th.
Okay, so let's bring it back home. To wrap things up, these updates to 42 CFR Part 93, they are significant, no doubt about it, but they are absolutely manageable if you prepare properly. Getting those updated policies and procedures locked down isn't just about compliance on paper, it's fundamental. It's about your institution's integrity, meeting federal requirements, and really protecting your whole research enterprise.
Couldn't agree more. And that is exactly where we come in. At Shepard-Smith Compliance Consulting, we are absolutely here to help you navigate all these changes. We can help develop customized policies, procedures tailored right to your institution's needs. We offer training. We support that annual reporting process. Our goal really is to help transform your research enterprise and strengthen your overall compliance. So here's a final thought to leave you with today. As research keeps evolving, with AI and other new technologies constantly emerging, how will your institution not just react and adapt to regulations like these, but how will you proactively build and foster a true culture of integrity, one that embraces both innovation and accountability? Something to think about. You can find out more about how we can support your efforts on our website, or just reach out directly. We're here to chat.
Thanks so much for joining us for this deep dive today.
Yes, thank you. Until next time, stay informed, stay compliant, and keep digging deep.